Attention Earthlings, do not attempt to adjust your dial.
You are about to voyage into the marvelously mystifying.
Join us as we navigate the enigmatic waters of consciousness, delve into the arcane realms of the occult and the paranormal, and converse with captivating beings from across the universe.
Prepare to expand your mind, challenge your perceptions, and journey into the unknown with your guides, Bunnicula and HP Hovercraft.
The frequencies of strangeness await.
Welcome to Dizzy
Spell.
Spell. Hello,
Hey, what's up?
it's a Dizzy Spell.
Welcome to the Dizzy Spell once again.
I'm Bunnicula,
I am HP Hovercraft.
and here we are in We Own This Town studios. On this fine day, the sun is shining.
I feel like we haven't recorded in like a million years.
Yeah, we haven't.
Yeah.
It's definitely been a transition considering we used to record every single week.
Yeah,
So yeah, it's been nice, but also weird.
it's cool.
Mm-hmm.
We're building up stuff to talk about.
That's right.
So it'll be
And
great.
I will never run out. That's for sure.
No,
So how are we feeling?
I'm feeling okay. As you can hear, I like lost my voice like 2 to 3 weeks ago,
Uh-huh.
and like I was saying before, I think that I just sound like this now.
Mm-hmm.
I think this is just my voice. So
We can embrace
I'm
it.
getting used to it because I don't feel sick. I'm not sick. I haven't been sick for a while, but it's just the same.
Yeah.
So now I have reached that age where my voice just sounds like this. So that's cool.
Could be cool.
Yeah, I'm embracing it. I'm for it. I'm grizzled.
Yes.
Yeah,
You've seen some shit.
I know. It's taken years off my life the last few weeks.
Well, how are we feeling? The podcast is officially launched.
Yes,
We have another episode coming out in 2 days, but not this episode.
not this one, but soon we'll be on a more consistent track.
I think.
I feel like,
Yeah.
and so that's great.
Yes. And it's Earth Day.
Yeah,
Did you know that?
I did know that. I had to do some things for social media at work because it was Earth Day.
Nice.
That's the only reason that I knew.
Earth Day. Eat some meat. Did you say that?
Kind of.
You
To some
should've.
extent.
Let's.
We shouted out like farmers and stuff.
Oh,
and,
nice. Yeah.
you know, we
Oh,
do
that's
like
nice.
we're relatively, even relatively, like pretty sincerely like local
Mm-hmm.
in all regards and everything. So
Yep.
it makes sense.
Shout out
It
to
made
Bare
sense.
Bones Butcher.
Shout out.
Cool. So yeah, it's Earth Day. World Alien Day is this weekend as well. Did you know that?
No.
World Alien Day.
Didn't know
Just
that.
happens to fall during Alien April.
When is it on? Is it Saturday or Friday or what?
I think Friday, yeah. Because it also falls on my wedding anniversary this year.
Wow, so many
Blessed.
happenings.
Just two aliens
I
who
can't
fell
believe
in
that
love.
is that of the party or the
No, of when we got married
Of
at the
official,
courthouse.
cool.
Yeah.
sweet?
Anyway, so all right. Anything else new you want to talk about?
Um,
Any movies?
I kind of okay.
Okay.
I watched a movie last night.
Mm.
It just came out. It was called Late Night with the Devil. Have you heard
I want to
of
see
that?
it so
You should
bad.
watch
Is it
it.
streaming now?
Yeah, it's on Shudder.
Yes. Okay.
If you have Shudder.
I'm gonna go watch it right now.
Yeah, it was great. I really liked it a lot.
I've been really wanting to see it.
It was cool.
Cool.
What's the main guy? I don't
Yeah, his
know his
name
name,
is.
but he's like in everything.
He has
but is
kind
like
of a crazy name. Yeah.
and he's like just a guy in a lot of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Like he's in that movie Prisoners. He was in Suicide Squad. I think that he's in Batman.
He's in
He's
Twin
in
Peaks:
Dune
The
1
Return.
for sure.
Yeah.
Too. Like he's like random sci-fi character actor.
Yeah.
Sci-fi and fantasy and comic character actor. But this is like
David
it's
Dasmalkian.
there you go.
Yeah.
It's a thing because it's like his first like leading role, and he does great.
I want to see
He's
it.
super good in it.
Cool.
It's a cool concept. And actually, like the thing, I don't want to get into it because you should watch it. But after you watch it,
Mm-hmm.
there's a specific cult that they talk about it.
Cool.
That
That's
talk
real?
about in it that is real. That they don't necessarily directly refer to, but it's so clearly what they're
Referencing.
talking about that we
Do you
should
know
do
who they're
like a whole
called?
thing about.
Do you know what they're called?
Man.
It's okay. It's okay. But I'm just curious.
We'll talk about it later, but
Okay.
I like read a whole bunch about it because I hadn't heard about it. And it was like, when I was reading about it, it's like, we should definitely know what this is.
I might. Yeah, I'm curious.
And
Cool.
it's like a Hollywood thing. Like it's like a I don't know if it's Southern California, but it's a California thing for sure. And the impression that I got when I was reading about it is like, this is like a classic one that everyone knows about, but it's kind of like gone out of public knowledge in the last like people like my age, our age necessarily may not.
But it was huge when it
in
happened.
the public lexicon, like, oh, obviously everybody knows that.
Cool.
But yeah, I did I wanted to get into that. So you should watch it. We should talk about it maybe next time.
I can't wait. I just watched Contact. Have you ever seen it?
Yeah.
So good. I had read the book before, but I had never seen the movie. Loved it. Very cool. There's a lot that's different about it, but I do know Carl Sagan had a hand in the movie and he died during the production of it. I thought it was a really beautifully done movie, especially for 1997. And beautifully done. The effects are really cool. And I don't know, it was just like a really fun ride. I'd highly recommend it. And then, I ran into a friend of mine and he kept quoting the movie, which was like tripping me out. It was really funny after, but.
Have you seen Solaris?
Yeah. Which one?
Not the Jodorowsky
Tarkovsky
one. No, yeah.
Not the Tarkovsky one. Okay, yes, I have seen it.
I
have not seen the Tarkovsky
one. Yeah, me neither.
Okay.
I watched that kind of recently and kind of like had my mind blown.
That one's good. Yeah.
And
I need to rewatch.
I got into it as in almost like this is like one of the best movies I've ever seen. And then this is so like not even dizzy spell, but I've been watching this and I'm kind of just like obsessed with it. It's on Netflix and it is it's a prison reality sort of like documentary.
Okay.
And it's called Unlocked. And I went into it kind of like, is it how like sensational and like exploitative is this going to be? But it's this prison in Arkansas that's kind of like a medium security prison where it's like, there's people that are like capital murder, or like drug charges or whatever. And they're on 23-1 lockdown, and that's just how it goes. Like, that's the way that it currently is. It's like 40 to 50 people.
Wow.
And so they're in their cells.
Meaning they're on
in
lockdown
their cells 23 hours a day, come out for 1 hour a day. And the whole premise is the guy who's like, I don't know if he's a sheriff. I think they say sheriff, but I don't know exactly his role. But he's like in charge of the prison. And his idea is, what if we get rid of that, change how we think about the way that the prison system is.
Cool.
And unlock the doors all the time. Get rid of the guards. No officers in there, whatever.
Ooh.
And these people are free to like kind of govern themselves and be like their own community. So they have like cameras in there and they watch them, and if anything like too crazy, like one guy makes a shank at one point and in the view, and they just are like, you gotta get him get him out of there. But for the most part, they're just like, just do your thing, and it so immediately becomes like old head versus young folk, like
young buck.
Like the old heads are like, this is the rules, we got to follow the rules. We just got to keep doing things how we're doing. We don't want to spoil his freedom. And all the like kids in there are just like, we're gonna like, this is freedom now, and I don't care about anything. But it's just like really interesting, and I don't think that it's too like sensational or exploitative. Like obviously it is to some extent because it's a Netflix thing and
the
somebody's
correctional
like
system
making
is
money off of it, like on the like back end of it, and not the But it's a really interesting look in the system and something that you don't like directly see, and has had me like, I don't think that I'm still like kind of developing my opinion on prison in general, I guess, in my life. Because in general, I want to say, like, I don't think most people should be in, like, that's not how it should go. But how else should it go? And this is one way to look at it.
Yeah, a social experiment. That's cool.
So that's something that I've been...
Dig
I
it.
won't shout it out, I guess.
Very cool,
Because it's better than I expected it to be.
Time for direct queries.
All right. Well, should we move on to some mail from our listeners?
Yes, I'd love to hear from them.
Okay, so today I handpicked a DQ. I hope that's okay.
Yes.
But we got one that was a DM from a listener.
Cool.
On our Instagram, which you can always go to our Instagram and slide in our DMs with your DQs, your direct queries, your Dizzy questions, over on Instagram at Dizzy Spell World. But this one is a DQ from Mac, our friend Mac. They said, I have a DQ. What's y'all's most and least favorite cryptids? Everyone always asks favorite cryptids. I mainly want to know your least favorite. Ooh. And I have not really prepared an answer, so I'm just as much going to go off the top of my head as you are. But do you want to go first?
I always feel like when it comes to, like, these things, I completely, like, kind of blank on all of them.
That's fair, yeah.
I almost feel like I want to go in favorite, least favorite. Well, I don't even know if I want to go there. But the first cryptid I ever remember caring about at all, or learning about at all, was in elementary school, where I got a book from a librarian when I was probably in first grade. That was like all cryptids.
Spreading
and it was
the
like
true gospel.
Major ones, Bigfoot, whatever. Loch Ness Monster. Maybe the first one I ever knew about.
Probably.
Always was in on. So I want to say that's my favorite because it's one I've known about forever. But then also, based on what we talked about last year, I want to say that I feel like the Loch Ness Monster is played out at this point. They did it. They tried their best. It's been confirmed for so long.
What do you mean?
That the picture is fake. Like the main picture has been forever confirmed. The guy that took it said this is a hoax. I did it. I did it. I did that. Just last year, they did the whole
the
whole
huge
hunt
search
where they had all these people. It was a whole day. Got the major quote from the kid that I will never forget, where he's like, "Well, the Loch Ness Monster has a family now, and that's why he's not around, because he's taking care of his family." Beautiful. I'm tired. Let's give that one a rest.
I'm tired.
I'm tired of it.
So is he your least favorite devil, or
maybe?
Ooh.
And then you know what? You know who I'm gonna give a shout out to? The Jersey Devil.
All right. As a fave?
I'm going least favorite at this point, Loch Ness Monster.
Okay.
Let's shout out the Jersey Devil for having one of the coolest names.
Fair enough.
For having a hockey team.
Yes.
Like I'm a huge proponent of this in my personal life. More sports teams should have sick names.
Agreed.
There's too many bird teams.
Too many racist name teams.
Yes.
Yeah.
That completely. There's so many cool things that you could be naming your hockey teams.
Cool
and
rocks.
your football teams.
Yeah.
How come there's no goblins? How come there's no trolls?
There should be a Kentucky Goblin
You
for
got
sure.
the Seattle Kraken is the most recent one. That's one of the coolest names ever.
That is really cool.
You got what's the college that is the Banana Slugs? Amazing. But like the Cardinals, come on. And you got the Jersey. New Jersey is the Devils, right? The hockey team.
Sure.
Am I right in that? I guess it's not really an answer.
I liked it.
In my list of cryptids that I just pulled out here, just to see. There's something from Florida called the skunk ape.
Oh, yeah. Skunk ape is
Shout
a big
out
one.
skunk ape.
Just for the name. That's funny. So, okay, if I had to pick a favorite, I don't know if I really just like have a favorite, but one that I've been really fixating on lately is the Beast of Sugar Flats.
Yes,
Road,
great,
yeah,
great.
in Lebanon, Tennessee. It's a very interesting story, and the part that intrigues me so deeply is that there is a head. Yeah, that's right. There is the head of the Beast of Sugar Flats Road that still exists to this day. It was on display at one point in Lebanon, Tennessee. It is currently not on display. I will say I have gone on some private efforts to try to see this head. I have not been able to get in contact with the person who has it in their possession. So I have to say I'm a little fixated right now. Maybe we'll report back on that one.
Some Tennessee doom metal bands got to call their first album The Beast of Sugar Flats Road.
Yes.
And then the second album, The Head of the Beast of Sugar Flats Road.
Ooh,
I
that's
also
like
just-
some Beowulf stuff right there. I
Want to
really
shout
dig
out
it.
on this cryptid list in the Gobi Desert, the Mongolian death worm.
Very cool. Okay, so least favorite cryptid. This is kind of a hard one. Least favorite cryptid, like, cause on one hand, it's funny because we just talked about this. I think on our first episode, we talked about like what's the most benevolent cryptid, and you were kind of like, I don't know, is it Bigfoot? And I was like, well, I know people who've said Bigfoot's been aggressive.
Yeah.
So to me, it's like, of all the cryptids, he does seem kind of like the rudest. He smells really bad. He's always like throwing stuff or being scary. I don't know. But then sometimes I'm like, sometimes I'm like, maybe he's just caught up in this big old world and he's overwhelmed, I gotta have pity for the guy.
Yeah. What about the Chupacabra?
Okay, honestly, big contender. I think that's a good answer. Yeah, because it's just gross. Like the whole concept is just really gnarly.
I think I approach this as like ones you think you're like tired of hearing about. Like, okay, come on. Like, we're gonna blame the Chupacabra again. Like, let's go. There's new things out there. Let's talk about the Malagasy hippo,
Amen.
Let's talk about the lizard man escape or swamp.
I love it. All right. Well, thank you, Mac, for your question. I'm sorry if I didn't quite answer it fully. I'll have to think about it a little more.
The true answer is we love them all. There's no
that's kind
one.
of true. Yeah.
There's nothing to not love about some fun cryptids. I'm looking at one called the Dover Demon.
Yeah,
You know about the Dover
Demon's
Demon?
fun. Mm-hmm.
Shout out, his picture on this list is really funny.
I will say another one I really loved growing up was jackalopes. Like, did you ever see when they would have the jackalopes in America's Funniest Home Videos when we were kids?
No.
Okay, I'll have to show you later. But yeah, I just always think of the jackalopes and how as a small child, I was convinced by someone that they existed. And I don't know. So there's like a little bit about
What are you
them
talking
that
about?
I
They
think
do
is-
totally exist.
Oh, my bad. Sorry. Okay, so should we peek in on the National UFO Reporting
rock.
Center
Yeah, what
online
we got?
database?
UAP loading database.
First of all, I think that when we go into these, we gotta think of some event that has happened in the last few months. I'm trying to think of something
Well,
offhand.
a bridge collapsed, right? Like a few. Yeah, and that was like such a Mothman thing, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
Hold
so
on. That was in Maryland, right?
It
was
was
in Baltimore?
I don't know. I honestly don't
Man,
know.
we're going to look like fools not knowing where the bridge collapsed.
Baltimore, yes.
I thought so, yeah.
Yes. So we
Ooh.
should look around.
Look
Baltimore.
up that date for me real quick, and then I'm
going to... About 3 weeks ago.
Okay, so it would be March.
Ooh.
Oh, not any good ones.
Yeah, looking
March
like
is-
March 30th-ish. Nothing coming
How
up.
about that? No, yeah, because
Because it takes them a
it
little
only
bit
takes
to
them a little bit, so it
approve.
might not be quite
Yeah.
there yet.
Yeah. Okay. So maybe we come back to that date
We'll put
specifically.
a pin in that one. However, most recent, Romania.
Romania.
Yeah.
That's
They
interesting.
got a cool one. This is Romania. At night, it was made out of multiple light orbs moving in synchronicity. The light orbs were in a pentagon-shaped formation. What I saw looked as if it was one object with multiple lights attached to it, and the lights were in a pentagon shape. The orbs were far apart from one another, and it sort of looked like a huge object above the earth. The weather was cloudy. You could still see the moon through the clouds and one bright star, but you can't see any of the other stars or any satellites.
Huh.
The thing I saw was very vivid, and it was moving in between the earth and the clouds. It looked like it was pretty close to the earth, but not too close. I saw it from the window, so it disappeared from my area of vision quickly. Based on my land perspective, in a few seconds, the thing made out of at least 5 light orbs moved by a few inches to the right in the night sky. I quickly rushed outside in 10 seconds, but by the time I was outside, nothing was in the sky anymore. The lights were white. The light orbs were white, in number of at least 5 or more, as I clearly remember the pentagon shape, but the square part of the pentagon was more of a rectangle than a square. A rectangle that was long on the vertical side of it. The sides of the rectangle were longer. Although I saw a formation of light orbs, it kind of looked like it was bigger with lights on it, just like how airplanes I see in the sky at night have multiple lights on them when they cross the night sky. But this thing couldn't have been a plane, as the lights were very spread apart, and it didn't seem to be in an airplane shape. They're everywhere. I like to specifically look for ones that are not in the U.S. because I think that we get tripped up on it being like a U.S. phenomenon.
Yeah, totally.
Sort of, you know?
Yeah.
But the culture of aliens is everywhere. The culture of UFOs is everywhere. Everywhere sees them. Yeah.
Yeah. So I found this sighting. This is sighting number 180329. This happened in Oakdale, Tennessee, and someone said that it was a triangle-shaped craft with red and white lights, and that they saw it at about an elevation of 88 feet, I guess, and that the closest distance it got was 200 feet. They said it was fast with no sound, and he said, my wife first saw on our road 3, and then she called me, and when I went outside, 1 broke away, and I saw 2. They were hovering in the air at first, then going straight. 1 broke off and zipped away. 2 others followed one another. So check out this photo. This is just interesting, weird little thing right here. Do you see this? It's, I don't know. It's pretty small, but intriguing. Small, yet intriguing thing in this photo. I don't know what it could possibly be. Nor do I ever.
Well, shout out to New Rock. We love checking the reports for people out there. And if you ever personally submit one, let us know, and we'll definitely read it on the air.
Ooh, yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Very cool.
It'll probably be there. It seems like there's about a month and a half turnaround on them being published. I'm sure because they got to kind of vet them to some extent.
So moving on. Once again, you're listening to the Dizzy Spell. And today we're going to talk about a very interesting thing. And HP is going to take the lead on this research here. However, I do have a couple things I wanted to bring up first.
Okay, cool.
The first thing is something that I actually saw today, and I thought this was very interesting timing, so I thought I would share it. This is a Twitter X post. I'm not really sure what this is. They said, today's pro tip, if you have to do a Google search, use quotation before : 2023, end quote, at the beginning of your search string. You get a completely different and, in my opinion, much more usable set of results. The web has died. Someone recently posted this tip, and I forget who it was, but wow, what a difference it makes. Thank you to whoever it was. It gets rid of so much AI-generated SEO crap.
Yes.
So I thought this is very interesting. I also last week happened to come across this article from businessstandard.com that pretty much says all it needs to say right at the top. Bots now make up nearly half of all internet traffic, a study has revealed. So yeah, that's just what I know about dead internet theory.
Well, that's exactly it.
Yes.
So dead internet theory is essentially it's an overall theory that bots make up all or most of the content that we now see on the internet. Since about 2016 is the date of the death.
Interesting.
Quote unquote, that they give. And it all, the theory, whether you want to refer to it as a conspiracy theory or not, people are kind of divided on it, originates from this one post in 4chan about 5 years ago or so, where this poster kind of runs through things that they've noticed about the way that 4chan and their internet experiences have changed in the last few years, basically since 2016. They reference specific dates where things on the forum changed, and they talk about how it's different. They've noticed internet activity being different on their phone versus on their laptop or on a personal computer instead.
Yeah.
Different things like that. And they kind of run through, and their whole thing is basically like, hey, let's all think about this. Let's all keep this in mind when we're using the internet, and maybe see if you notice things that I notice as well. A couple articles around the same time can kind of pick it up, get written about it. One thing that they both point to is, well, a lot of it is Twitter.
Okay.
So much of it is Twitter.
Sure.
And one thing that they all point to, there's a couple articles in, there's a Business Insider one, and then I think it's in the Atlantic, where they both point to this trend, a lot of like Twitter trends changing around a certain time and becoming less meaningful, or kind of like being nothing. Like you're kind of not on the internet as much right now, right?
And I've never really been a Twitter person.
So there's a thing, I feel like memes have become more and more nonsensical. Is one of the things that they point to.
Totally.
So the things that both articles reference a Twitter trend around the time that was, I hate texting, just hold my hand, was a thing.
Okay.
And it was like all of these accounts were like posting variations of that. I hate texting, just put it blank, and getting like huge interactions. And then when you would kind of follow the lead back to the origin, it was like, this isn't a real person, like clearly. It was
Weird.
just like, it was like a person with, like the original poster would be a person with no picture and no previous tweets, or maybe just only like retweets and like a long number for a name.
Okay.
Kind of like obvious bots.
Totally.
Right? And that's what they're pointing to, is like, we're at the point now where, so it's maybe started with people artificially inflating real accounts by, because like that was a thing maybe 10 years ago where you're like, oh, that person's like buying likes.
Still
right?
a thing.
Like, think
totally.
about yeah. But it is now. But so now, with the advent of like AI and ChatGPT being where it is, those bots are no longer just liking content. They're like actively searching the web, making content, posting things,
Trippy.
interacting with things. And then think about how that's disrupting like the social dynamic online, where now those
the memes
bots
are
that
being made
like
by the robots.
loose and perpetuating like potential like hateful content, or like racism, or even like how much do you know about like the origins of QAnon, like truly?
I haven't watched the documentary.
You have to.
I know like some weird stuff about like, it's like a guy and his son.
Totally.
Right?
But it's like, it is another one of those things that is just from like shitpost 4chan.
Yeah.
Truly.
Yeah, of course.
That like got out of control.
Oh, I'm sure.
But then I wonder now, in thinking about this, like how much of that stuff is just AI. Like, imagine, this is something that the guy talks about, is ChatGPT, and also back to the guy, homeboy at Google, talking about the AI getting loose on the internet. Now we're talking about there's real research where 50% of the internet traffic is AI just searching stuff, finding stuff, getting loose in something like 4chan, not understanding the social dynamics at play where some people are just hateful to hate on the internet only, you know, and letting that loose into places where the general public can then see.
Yeah.
These are all the the negative things that are happening because of this.
Yeah.
And this is something that is
terrifying.
That is so conspiracy-y to me. I hesitate to really be how much of this is real and true. But it is freaky.
Yeah, absolutely.
Not
Well, and it happens. I will get on the internet and I will see a comment on an article, and I click on the article is clearly written by AI, and then the comments on it, so many of them are obviously bots.
But you know what is the other, yes, 100%. And it's okay, so what's there to gain from this? But now, since Elon Musk has owned Twitter and monetized the blue check aspect of things, so there's all these people basically hatefully engagement farming things. So you can just pay $10 a month to Twitter and get a blue check, and then you can monetize your posts, and you can just write something totally crazy,
Whatever.
controversial, whatever, to get people mad at you. Doesn't matter if you believe it personally or not. And then you can, based on the amount of people that have liked or shared it or responded to it, whatever, you are making money off of that because you're a blue check mark. So how much of that then is people using AI to then create that, so there's not even their own personal face behind it? And that's what the idea is that's become primarily what the internet is. I have all these things. I never, ever, ever am writing anything on Twitter or Facebook or anything. And I don't know. I know a lot of people. I don't know anybody who is doing these things. So who are all these people? Is kind of the idea.
Very interesting and terrifying.
It just sucks.
It makes you feel icky.
It's horrible.
Yeah.
It's a whole different underground awfulness that now just only exists in the internet. And whether or not, how true all of that is, I think that of all of the things I've ever brought up, as the skeptic, I do think that there is validity to all of this. And I think that we all as people just need to be a lot more careful about it, I guess, is really what I want to say. Now that I've unleashed all my feelings.
Yeah.
I've just been really thinking about this for a while now.
Yeah.
But be careful. Do you got anything to add?
Well,
or what do you think about?
Yeah, I mean,
you just freaked out.
Yeah, it's just like you said, it's half of everything you see, and we're getting to a point where soon we're not going to distinguish AI. Right now, we can see 6 fingers and these little things that are obvious tells, but soon enough we won't be able to. And so, yeah, it's just interesting that I feel like we are moving into this illusory period where we went from the illusion that was the veil pre-internet, where people could have second families, they could be serial killers and all sorts of things, and you couldn't tell because DNA evidence didn't exist and all these things. DNA comes around, the internet comes around, 23andMe comes around, all these things break open, lift the veil in all these ways. It becomes easier to leak information and all this stuff. But now it's to this point where it's that avenue for the truth is so quickly becoming diluted with illusion, So it's interesting to have gone through this period where I feel like for a very brief period, there was this moment where maybe things were more real on the internet, but that was a long time ago.
And I feel like I grew up being hey, that stuff that you see on the online is probably not true or might not be true, or check it out. I take anything that I see ever. I take 2 minutes to verify or confirm or whatever. I feel like the vast majority of people are not doing that. This is such a deep cut reference, but there is a documentary about nerdcore rap in the early 2000s with guy, MC Frontalot, and he talks about what it was like to be an early, online, for nerd person, going on forums, and he said, I loved to go on the internet and communicate with people on these forums because it wasn't about who I was as a person. It was just me and my intellect discussing whatever we were discussing. And that's totally gone away, I think.
That's interesting.
And him, I don't know why that's something that is just so stuck with me forever. Him saying that, because it's no longer that. It's whatever lie I can tell, or what can I make people believe, or what can I say to do that. To
get attention or get money or get engagement or whatever that is.
Truly, it's all about
so interesting.
It's all about the engagement, right? It's too many people going, how can I monetize? How can I do an evil thing to capitalize on it?
Yeah. Ooh.
So you can burn it all down. Death to the internet. That's what I have to say.
It's interesting. I am curious to know what the percentage would be on a website like Reddit, where I'm sure it varies very much depending on the subreddit also. But yeah, sometimes I'll be on that because I do think it is a place where, at least to some degree, you can still have some sort of discourse, although so much of it is also a cesspool. But, I'm in certain subreddits that tend to just attract people who are actually going to talk about the thing,
Well, Reddit has bots.
Totally. They have, yes.
They're these are bots.
They're auto
I'm a bot.
Bots. Yes.
Etc.
Absolutely. But then there's definitely karma bots and all sorts of things too. But yeah, it is. I am curious to know, sometimes I look at a thread and I'm like, how many of these are not actually people that people are responding to? I don't know.
I know that you're once again not using the internet, not using phone stuff as much. But did you see this happened a couple of days ago, that now when you go on Instagram or Facebook, you are forced to use the Meta AI?
No.
So as of maybe 3 days ago, if you search on the Instagram app, if you go to search anything, it's a Meta search that uses Meta AI, and you have to use it. There's no way to turn it off.
Interesting.
And it makes you agree to there's just no way to go around it.
Ooh.
Isn't that horrible?
Strange. All
right. Well, that's kind of enough about that, I guess.
Yeah. Well, I did want to I wanted to read a couple quotes really quick from this article, because I really did think this is a very fascinating subject that we're on. Again, this article is from businessstandard.com. A company was a cybersecurity firm called Imperva was commissioned to make this report basically on internet traffic. And they said in their report, bad bots engage with applications in the same way that real users would, which makes it more difficult to identify and block them. As opposed to taking advantage of technical flaws, they abuse business logic by taking advantage of the way a company runs. They enable high-speed abuse, misuse, and attacks on websites, mobile apps, and APIs. They enable a variety of malicious activities to be carried out by attackers, fraudsters, unsavory competitors, and bot operators. Very interesting. And so they said they began monitoring the trend in 2013 and found that the prevalence of so-called bad bots peaked in 2022, which is interesting. I don't know what exactly would make it start to decline again, but that's interesting. And so they did say that with the introduction of Google's Bard and OpenAI's ChatGPT, that the researchers fear bot activity will rise even more this year. I'm sure it has. It's very freaky. And they just noted that the legal, government, travel, and retail industries are the most frequently targeted by the more advanced bots, and that the majority of bad bot activity occurs in Germany, Ireland, Singapore, Australia, and the United States. Very interesting stuff. Yeah.
There was something that I read that was from just this month. Let me see if I can find it again. Oh, yeah. In 2024, Google reported that its search results were being inundated with websites that feel like they were created for search engines instead of people.
Oh, I hate it.
So they're now making websites too. I guess that makes sense. But, weird to like hear them say.
Say the quiet part out loud.
Weird, dude. We got to get off the internet.
That's what I'm saying.
We have to.
That being said, thank you for listening to our podcast on the internet. Yes. Thank you, internet, for hosting our podcast. It's not the internet, really. Like, it's different. It's not like the World Wide Web, like just going to a website. The internet is recording us right now.
The future is just apps only. Only mess around in your little apps that do one thing. Don't like how much are you just? You remember Stumble Upon?
Yes.
Like, what's that?
I miss Stumble Upon. That was the glorious peak of the internet. On the internet, right?
Like
freaking
going on the internet is going on Twitter. Going on the internet used to be going on 4chan at your friend's house.
That's what I'm saying. Like, remember when there used to be like destination websites like Homestar Runner, these like flash websites, or like
totally just, like Newgrounds and stuff,
even trash websites like celebrity gossip ones, but they were like you went to the thing.
Yeah,
now we don't do that.
Yeah,
I hate it.
It's horrible.
So
burn it down.
Let's just burn it down anyway.
All right.
Thank you for that. There was Dead Internet Theory. Very interesting stuff.
Time for the news.
So the next thing I wanted to bring up here, I thought we could kind of do this as our news roundup. Okay. It's been a little bit, so it's a little bit old news roundup, let's say, but I have yet to share it really on air with our followers, with our listeners, with our Dizzy Spellian brethren. I wanted to tell you about a place I went to recently. The International Paranormal Museum and Research Center in Somerset, Kentucky.
I can't wait to hear about this because I don't feel like I ever really got the full rundown.
Yeah, super cool. So recently they had a little special. So I was like, this is a good day to go. Let's go. And we made our way up there. I think it's about a 2.5 hour drive from here in Nashville to Somerset, Kentucky. Not a bad drive at all. And a big part of it, you're driving on Nun Parkway, Nunn Parkway, which is very fun because I am a nun. And so you get out to this museum and it's just a couple bucks to get in. Mm-hmm. And from the get-go, I was like, okay, yeah, this guy knows what's up. So we ended up lucking into going to the museum when the rare occurrence was happening that Kyle, the curator and owner of the museum, happened to be running the door. Generally, he has another person who does that job, but they were out of town. So we got to meet Kyle himself, and he told us all sorts of stuff as we had questions throughout the museum. One of my favorite things that I saw in the museum that I thought was really cool is he had I hesitate to say authentic because there's no such thing, but a Fiji mermaid. Do you know what that is? And it is by the person who basically makes all of the famous like Fiji mermaids now that are like the closest things to like the replicas of like the P.T. Barnum ones of yesteryear, basically. Yeah. And since I was a little kid, I've always been super disturbed and interested in Fiji mermaids. So I really loved seeing that. He also had some haunted dolls, which is always fun. One of them was so creepy and I took a picture of it and then I felt so bad about it that I deleted the picture later. I like felt like I disrespected it. Like that's the level of just weird energy I was feeling about it that I was like, maybe I should have asked first. I didn't, and I deleted the photo. I think there's like 3 haunted dolls in this place, and all of them have stories.
Jeez.
And all of them are very scary. Like one of the things, everyone who's ever owned it has like undergone some sort of sickness or death or like car crash as soon as they got it in their possession. The guy, Kyle, who owns the museum, he got sick as soon as it came into his possession, but he said he felt like I know.
See, I don't know if I can fuck with that. I don't like of all of the things that I'm totally don't care about. I've never been into like dolls. I can't do it. I just can't. I made Abby when we got married and her parents brought all of her stuff. She had all these crazy old porcelain dolls, and it had to be like you can't keep these here. I can't do it.
That's
I
really
simply
funny.
can't. I've always my whole life, like since the beginning of me having memories,
Yeah.
I've had nightmares about Barbie dolls.
Really?
Yes.
Interesting.
Early childhood, like every single nightmare I had, murdered by a Barbie doll
Really?
constantly.
Did you have older sisters?
No, I don't know where it comes
That's
from.
so interesting.
Like it's just like I've always just been like I think. Well, I do know a little.
Okay.
That it comes from me seeing a trailer for a Child's Play
Oh, yep.
like movie early on.
Yep.
I remember it being one of the first like scary things that I saw. Chucky
Oh, yeah.
on the TV.
Terrifying.
And then going to Universal Studios, seeing Chucky. Always been scared of Chucky.
Oh.
Now
you love him.
Now I love him.
Mm-hmm.
But dolls, like I wouldn't have like a cool Chucky in my house or something.
Oh, no.
No,
Yeah.
not into it.
That's really funny.
Please keep them away from me. It's scary. They're alive.
Well,
They're gonna get me.
yeah. And there is one guy on Instagram that you have probably seen that owns a ton of dolls, and he has really long hair. Do you know what I'm talking about?
No.
Every time I see his Instagram, it creeps me out, and I have to like
That's scary.
zoom past it. Like it's truly disturbing. Yeah, so there's some haunted dolls in there. What else was really cool? I love any museum that has foot castings of Bigfoot footprints. Like I love that kind of stuff. Like that's always super fun.
Impossible to just make those. You have to get real.
Yeah.
Like that's a thing that can't be replicated.
He had like 13 different ones too.
Yeah.
And that was really
You
fun.
gotta just find those in the wild. There's no way to.
Yeah, it was great. He also had like a bunch of memorabilia that was just from different random other gift shops that revolve around cryptids.
Specific things.
So yeah, he had like merch on display from like the Flatwoods Monster Museum and like the Mothman Museum and all these like different museums. He had some stuff that was like signed official promo stuff from the Hellier documentary show that they did, which is pretty cool. Yeah, just very interesting stuff. This guy was super warm and welcoming and happy to answer all of our questions. So shout out again to our friend Kyle, the curator at the International Paranormal Museum and Research Center in Somerset, Kentucky. He also has a podcast called Pennyroyal Podcast. I haven't listened yet, but I know he said that what the focus of his podcast is, which I think is a very cool concept, is him and his friends have dedicated to exploring the anomalies that are very hyper local to their area. Mm-hmm. And he said that Somerset actually is a gravitational anomaly, that the gravity there is a little heavier than in any other part of the world except for some spot in Siberia, I think. Like, supposedly the vortex of energy there is like even more intense than like the vortex in Taos, New Mexico or Sedona or these other places. He swears. And I mean, there's something to be said. I don't know. We could get into this deeply. I think there's a lot of interesting...
Look at the coordinates.
Yeah.
See if there's some sort of...
I think it might be on some ley lines is what they're called. These like sort of electrical currents over the world, I should say. But I'll have to look into that more. But very fascinating stuff. Super cool experience. Absolutely worth the drive from Nashville. Yeah, just, very cool. So highly recommend it. Thanks again to Kyle for answering our questions and being very patient with me.
Go check it out.
Yeah, super cool. Well, is that it? Did we do
That's it, I think.
All right.
You got any closing thoughts or things that you want to say?
That is a really good question. No.
Great.
My mind is blank.
That's it. Well, thanks for listening. Sorry if we got a little too, in the wrong mindset about the dead internet thing. I get kind of riled up about that kind of stuff.
Yeah, it's... I got oscillate about it. Sometimes I'm like, oh man, the internet's the best thing ever. Sometimes I'm like, it's run by demons. You got to catch me on a good day, you know?
Yeah. I'm still looking at Twitter probably 3-4 hours out of the day every day.
That's one I've never gotten into, but Reddit. Oh, man.
Don't do it, man.
Reddit
don't
is my
don't get
demon.
into Twitter. It's nothing but bad at this point. It's horrible.
I love it.
Time to say farewell.
Well, all right, Earthlings, you've been listening to Dizzy Spell here on the We Own This Town podcast network. We were recorded live here at We Own This Town studios in Nashville, Tennessee. Special thanks to Jay Childers for the sound bed music you're hearing now and you hear all throughout our episodes. And thanks to our producer, Michael Eads. Our podcast network, We Own This Town, for hosting us. And thank you to Mac Burrus for our intro and editing expertise. You can follow us on social media at Dizzy Spell World and leave us a review on your preferred streaming source, please. 5 is the magic number.
It has to be 5. If it's not 5, don't bother doing it because it's bad.
Please, sir, we need 5 magic beans. Just 5.
If it's less than 5, please just DM us directly and tell us how we can make it up to you.
Tell us your beef. I love it. All right. Good night, Earthlings.
Bye.